In our last conversation, you'd mentioned this idea of being a servant leader. And I was wondering if you can talk a bit more about that and the role that it plays in both kind of establishing how the group works and then, again, building out that brand and then how the group is going to work, across the org.
Sure. I mean, I think it starts with, at its core, just caring, like caring about your people beyond 9 to 5. Who are they? Just as people in understanding their passions, their interests. And then once we kind of move from that core, where do they want to go in their career? What is their path? And how do we, which is the old way, which is like, okay, the business wants you to do this, we need you to do this. How do we blend that? So first, how do we understand people? It's kind of important. Yeah. How do we be really empathetic and care about folks? And then take the time to go, okay, so you want to be this type of designer, or you want to be on the design director track, or whatever that path is for them. Then say, okay, how are we going to set up opportunities based off of what the business needs versus what you want, and so you can succeed? And how do we stay true to that? And so we've worked on things like 90-day plans, where we start off as a shared 90-day plan. Where do you want to go? Here's a pathing. Like, how do you want to get there? Okay, so this is what the business is asking. How do we marry those two things together? And then use our one-on-ones as a buoy to check in and say, okay, how am I as a leader, as a servant leader, actually carving out those opportunities, and then giving you the focus, which is the things you want to work, and then the intention, which is the why, and then clear that road as much as possible. And then at the end of that 90 days, because we stop at 90, because after that, it's really tough to kind of see the horizon line. We say, okay, we've checked on one-on-ones. We've made some course corrections here. Now let's go to the next 90. And so what you're doing along the way is you're, again, much like your ship learn and iterate, you're ship learning and iterate with your folks. There are going to be some misses. Mostly they're on my part, of like the opportunities, things we want to carve out. And so we're always looking at and saying, how do we do better? How are we not just doing better for the business, but how do we get you where you want to go? And that's a big part of when I say setting the ladder back down, is be consistent, show up, and make sure that you may not hit all the marks of what your folks need or want, but at least make that effort.